You're seeing a bit of a different view today on the podcast, and if you're listening, it doesn't really matter, but you're going to hear two voices today. We are welcoming our first guest to the podcast, and the podcast obviously will still have an overarching theme, but first and foremost, I would like to introduce everyone to Drew. Drew, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the team. Drew is new to our team here at Moment Creative. He is heading up our LA office and is a very welcome addition to the team. We have a long history of working together, which a bit of foreshadowing here because that's really the subject we're gonna dive into here. But just want to say first and foremost, welcome, Drew. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up where you're at with us.
Well, hello, and thank you, Luke. Hello to everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks. Well, let's see. We initially started working together through Danger Press, pop-up by Ed Jewell, customizing some jerseys for a Thanksgiving basketball tournament, right? In the middle of the winter in Atlanta.
Yeah, that was the first one, wasn't it?
I think that was the first time that we met and where our relationship began. And then prior to that, my relationship with Danger Press started in my previous position at Adult Swim, working on the creative team there. And that was really the first time, my first dive into live events. You know, we were doing college tours back then and running booths and stunts for Comic-Con, upfront parties, etc. And so we always had the Danger Press team with us on tour, dragging around heat presses and offering t-shirt customization on site. It was the first time that I'd ever really seen it. And so, after I departed from Adult Swim, I cozied up with Ed and his team. And it was really funny because I would end up at these same events, because Adult Swim was still hiring Danger Press. So, I'm at these same events, but on Danger's behalf. And it was such a treat anyway. I mean, we've kind of touched on it before, but all these experiences really come down to the relationships and sort of the sense of family with the individuals that we get the pleasure of working with. And that's really what I'm kind of left with from my time at Adult Swim. In addition to all the magical experiences are the people. Everybody was so wonderful there, and to get to experience those connections and work together is special.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Ed Jewell at Danger Press. If you are looking for any kind of garment customization or any of that kind of stuff, Ed out of Danger Press in Atlanta, we certainly want to recommend them as fully and endorse them as strongly as we possibly can. You do have a really long, fun history, Drew, working with some cool brands and projects. And, I know we're going to dive into this a little bit more, but just, to have your experience and your creative brain and your charisma on our team, I know everyone couldn't be more excited to have you. So a firm, hearty welcome to the team, and we're looking forward to all the things we're gonna end up doing together. Before we dive into the meat here, I wanted to ask you a quick question. We were sitting in the office there, just spitballing like we usually do, and a question came up, and it was, is there anything that you can cook right on a stovetop in an oven, right, that is actually better microwaved? We were trying to think there's a lot of things you can microwave that it's like okay. Is there any one particular thing that you would say microwaving yields a better result than an oven or a stovetop?
Oh gosh, melted chocolate and popcorn are the only two things that came to mind, but I wouldn't say that's a superior method. However, it's just another way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure. We were we all found hard to find the answer. I mean, microwave popcorn is certainly easier. Microwave really anything, right, is certainly easier and a lot of times quicker. But we struggled to find anything that was better. So if there's anyone out there that has a comment on something that's better microwaved, I'd love to know. We just don't know if it exists, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Microwaves are weird. I mean, certainly they make things hot, but I'm left with this. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I feel like it kills the food.
Yeah.
And then they're really, there's like a mass that goes in our body that there's maybe not so many nutrients, but
yeah. My grandma to this day, if you want to microwave something, she says to nuke it. So I think the technology was probably pretty cutting edge back in the day. Whoa, you can just instantly turn something hot by putting it in this box for a few minutes. Pretty wild concept. We talked about your expertise, and you dabbled into it a little bit. The heat presses you were lugging around, the customization you were doing, and that ultimately is the subject of today's podcast. The secret to successfully operating a live customization event. Hey everybody, I'm Luke Miller. Welcome to Talk Shop, which is no longer solely hosted by myself. So this is now Talk Shop with MoMA Creative and any one of the representatives of our company. We are super excited to kind of expand the format of the podcast. And today, as we said, we've got Drew here with us. Drew, tell us a little bit about what a customization event is. What are we talking about when I say that?
Well, we're talking about offering at least one, more than likely a variety of products. They could be t-shirts or hats or koozies or towels. You can heat press on a wide variety of items these days, umbrellas, many things. And then you're also offering a sort of a menu of design options. And then you're giving the guest the power to select maybe the color of a shirt they want with the design they want, and then they can decide where on the garment they want it. And then it's produced live on site for them to see. And then they walk away with a completely unique item that they helped create.
And it's such a fun thing for a consumer or guest of an experience to be able to partake in, because you obviously, kind of subway model, if you will, right? Like you get to come in and pick any number of things and ultimately walk away with something that's uniquely yours, right? So it makes the experience deeply personal, ultimately, at the end of the day, even if it's just a couple of options. And wouldn't you say that that's one of the most important parts of a successful event, is connecting with a consumer on a personal level?
Absolutely. I think that's the whole point of not just marketing, but life altogether.
Yeah, and that's such a poetic response coming from you, and obviously I know you, better than the viewers or listeners here. But one of the things that I was, and a lot of our team was drawn to about you, and across the board, business and success is defined by relationships. And you were always such a positive spirit. You just have an energy about you that people connect to. And when we get to interact with our consumers and our clients, customers, it's so important that they have a positive interaction. So tell me a little bit about what drives you and what pulls that out of you. Is it just innately who Drew is, or is there's this component of I'm in go mode and this is a critical part of delivering an experience to this consumer?
Yeah, there is that. I mean, when it comes to work or executing something, I do have a strong drive to do as good of a job as I can. I'm a visual person. I love to help ensure that things are presenting in the best way possible. As well. But, I learned early on when we would start going to Comic-Con and some of these things. I'm not personally a cosplayer, or I'm not a fan of a lot of the stuff that these Comic-Con goers are participating in, but it's easy to, it's just an energetic share. I think we all can feel other people's energy. And so when you feel someone's excitement for something, it's easy to get behind them and support them in that excitement, whether or not I'm personally connected to it. So I think that's ultimately what it is, whether it's a clothing brand or some other entertainment. You are matching people's energy over their
Yeah.
excitement for something. Yeah.
So I hear that as a kind of acknowledging passion, and maybe that translates directly to somebody customizing a shirt or a jersey or a fanny pack or whatever it may be. It's just like acknowledging this excitement, this freedom they're feeling in the moment to pick and choose and feel the energy of that moment. Would you say that's one of the most critical pieces to a successful live event or customization event?
Yeah. Well, it's exciting to come across something and then to find out that you're able to participate in it and that, yes, I deserve this, or I don't know, maybe that's a weird thing to say, but
Yeah.
I think people trip up on that a lot, So when it becomes clear that you do have access to this really cool thing, that's a wonderful feeling. And then, of course, you're left with really positive associations with whatever brand has made that possible.
Yeah. And so obviously we've talked about what makes one of these events successful. What would you say are some of the bigger bottlenecks or areas of concern? What if you're a brand or a company or even another agency or a freelancer looking, for some expertise here, you're going to run your first live or your first live customization event. What are some things that you, having done so many of these things, are acknowledging, hey, this is where we could run into a hurdle. This is where things could slow down. This is where the experience could be impacted negatively if we're not mindful of it.
Gosh, I guess demand. There's sort of a cross section of time, money, and demand versus delivering an excellent sort of product. Um, I, just looking back and all the difference in like an idea space and then execution of something, and sort of where an idea starts, and then by the time it goes through budget and this and that and it's approved and this and that, inevitably it's some other version of it. And so I guess it's just a matter of finding a way to still feel good about what you're offering, and to sort of have an understanding that it still is worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of times, when you're sitting at the brainstorm, you can picture all these things, and, maybe a good example would be like, let's have 10 colors of shirt we can offer and 25 different customization options. But ultimately, like, that feels good, but maybe a few less choices can yield the same results, but take the strain off the staff because there's fewer boxes of shirts to sort through, or fewer heat transfers or patches to keep you track of, but you're still ultimately yielding the same result. Demand, pushing too hard, having too many options can bog down the experience.
Yeah, it can, because you still want a lot of options so that each piece can still be really unique.
Mm-hmm.
And just, when you use the term customization, I mean, we ran into this all the time at Danger Press. That translates into, oh, let me spell out my name for you, so that you can put my name on this garment.
Right.
That's like customization. And these days the technology is there. I mean, we just did it with Adidas for the FMF stuff. Sure enough, in real time, you can have a plotter cut out someone's name and heat press it in minutes. Um, but that's not always possible. And, I you just have to trust that it was worth doing and that people are happy. You can tell it, even just a little thing, a little giveaway, whether or not it's customized, people they do appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, it comes down to what the consumer is getting in terms of not even just free or giveaway stuff, but just what they're feeling in the process. It's, hey, here's this company or this brand is wanting to provide me with something, and this thing that they're providing with me for me brings me joy or excitement. And then you can kind of just take it to the next level, by customizing that thing. And then I think the top of the heap is having not only something that they are excited about, that they were able to customize, but they walked away from a moment with someone like you, Drew, that was a very positive, happy experience. And ultimately, if we've done that as a marketing agency, if we've made a consumer of our client happy, then the association with the brand grows. Their excitement or desire for that brand and product grows because we've provided them an experience, an emotion that ties them even deeper into this brand.
Yeah, that's so key. I just was seeing something the other day. It sort of listed off these different brands you know, and it equated, what emotion they're selling or a feeling, when really, there's a website with products that they're selling, but ultimately they're trying to connect emotionally with people. And it's also interesting too, some of these pop-ups are in public spaces where you're encountering a flow of people that aren't necessarily there for that event. They're encountering an activation while they're on their way to another event,
Mm-hmm.
or versus um, something where all the people that you'll encounter are there because they're fans of that brand or product.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's kind of interesting, but um, in terms of sharing a positive moment with someone, in terms of having a position where, we get to be out with a lot of different people and we have like sort of this really abundant opportunity to connect with so many different people, it is really beautiful, but, it's not really any different from just being at the grocery store and exchanging a smile with someone. Or I mean, obviously we can't always do that, we're not always in the mood, we're not always available to share in those ways, but there's something about the excitement and the energy around an event that I think makes it easier for us to step into that energy
Yeah.
and share it with other people. I don't really know what it is. I always say, or I feel like I turn on for these events, when it's showtime and we've spent however long getting this project together, and all of a sudden the lights are on and the doors are opening and it's happening. It's just something you kind of just get overcome with, and
Yeah.
you're fed the energy that you need to participate in this way. You know, I think fed sort of externally, whatever that might mean to anyone, but also fed back from the people that we're interacting with.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's beautiful, and it sums it up perfectly. The key to a successful event in any capacity is connection, right? And when you can share the energy, you can reciprocate the energy, you can provide the consumer something that facilitates the generation of that energy, the connection's going to exist. And we as humans, we as people, we as friends and family members, that's all we want at the end of the day, is to feel connected and compelled towards something. And relationships are everything. And that's ultimately what we do. We connect.
It's so true. It's true. Yeah,
it's
and
powerful.
maybe that's for some reason, maybe that's why, we are attracted to this line of work, because it creates so many opportunities to connect. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And just, we've talked about it, offline, but like, I get a high from these moments. And I think if you've got that in you, this line of work is fantastic, because you are motivated by that. You're driven to feel that feeling. And so you talk about just kind of clicking in, game time, show time, break a leg, whatever you want to say. You hit the lights come up and you're on the stage and it's time to go. But it feels so good, right?
It does. And it is a high, so much so that, I've even experienced sort of a come down, post event, like, wow, that was so amazing. How do I carry on without that sustained feeling of, it's like, everything is just so pronounced and elevated and glowing in some way,
Well, that's when you just got to fire up the creative juices and start thinking about the next one and how you're going to be there for the next one and get to feel that feeling again. And, but
it's true.
That's what we do here, And so I think if you summarize it in one word, it's connection, and that's it. That's the podcast. So thank you, Drew, for joining the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Luke.
Thank you for joining the team. We look forward to all the things we're going to create together. I hope this is the first of many podcasts that you and I can share together, or you or other teammates can share together. And we certainly look forward to everything that's gonna come of this. So thanks again. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for everyone that's listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.